The sun is coming in and out, so if you guys see the light changing, I apologize, but I can't do anything about the sun. So we're gonna work with what we have. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be talking about book series that I'm planning to read this year. For some of these, I've already read the first book of the series, and for one reason or another, I didn't continue. Not necessarily because I didn't like them or I didn't enjoy them. It's just I never picked them up back again. So my goal for this year is to continue with those series and finish them. But I also have other series that I own, that I've had for a very long time, that I'm interested in reading, that I want to read, and I just haven't gotten the chance to get around to doing so. I think I have about 10 series that I've already bought the first book of, at least, and I would like to continue with the series or start the series. So with that being said, I'm gonna get started with the books that I have already read the first book from that series. Most of these series, like 95% of these series, are fantasy, except for one. And I've said this before, I don't read a lot of sci-fi, and I tried getting into sci-fi, but I just couldn't. So the first book that I have, it's Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I want to say that I read this book about 4 years ago. I remember crying at the beginning of this book, and I enjoyed the setting, I enjoyed what was going on, and I just never continued with the series. And maybe it was because it's sci-fi, I don't know, but to be honest, I don't remember anything that happened in this series except for like a few things. So if I want to continue with this series, I want to reread this book and continue with it. And I'm not sure, but I think this is a trilogy, and then he has companion series to this, like to this world, or I might be wrong and they all just follow it's like one series. So I'm not sure on that. I don't know if it's just these three and then we follow the rest of the books. But he also just announced a new release for the series, so I'm gonna figure that out. This is one of the series that I'm planning to read. The next book I also read the first book, and that is A Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab. I read this book about 2 years ago, and again, I didn't continue with the series, so this is one that I definitely want to pick up. I know she has worked on other things like in this world, and I know that she's writing more books that follow this story or characters in this story. So I know that I want to read these ones to continue with those as well. And I really enjoyed the setting of this story because we go through different Londons and there's only a few people that can travel through them. I can't remember which London, like no one should be able to go to, but our main character can, and he smuggles stuff and he like exchanges things. So it is really interesting. One of my favorite characters is Lila, and I love her story. I love her background story. I am looking forward to continue with this story. The next series that I want to continue reading is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I read this book last year, I want to say, and I really enjoyed the world. I really enjoyed the magic system in here and the characters. My goal is to read all of Brandon Sanderson's work because it sounds like such an amazing world. As a writer, like I want to see how he managed to build such an amazing world, and I know he has like a whole universe. I've always been interested in getting to know the universe that he built, and most of his books are pretty big books, but I'm looking forward to reading one of his books each month. At least that's my goal right now. So I want to reread this one to continue with this series, and hopefully soon I'll get to explore all of his universe. Also, I am looking forward to finishing the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I read The Hobbit last year, I want to say, or 2 years ago, and I love that book. I love this book so much. I love the way it's narrated. This is one of those books that I would like to reread throughout my whole life. And I think that might be the case for the rest of the series, but I just haven't gotten to the rest of the series. I love watching the movies. A lot of people say that they prefer to watch the movies than read the books, but I want to see if the books have more information on the characters or things that didn't make it to the movie, even though the movies are like super long. We recently watched all of them with like the extended editions, and then we also watched Rings of Power, and we love it. I love this world so much, so I want to read this series, and they're not that long, so I don't think it should take me a long time to do it, but I just have to get to them. Another series that I'm really excited to continue with is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I started reading this book and I don't know what happened. I put it down. I want to get through it. I have like the first 3 books of this one, so from what I read, it's amazing. I just have to get through it. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss is another one of those big fantasy stories that I've wanted to read for a really long time. This has actually made it through a lot of my TBRs throughout the years, and I just haven't sat down to read it. I have started this book. I think I've read about 100 pages of this book, and even though it is a slow-paced story so far, it caught my attention. Like, I was really into it. I don't know why I put it down. I think I've been waiting for the right moment to read this book. Like, I want to have a long break and just sit down and read it, especially during the winter. I think this style of writing and fantasy story is like for the winter, and I just haven't made it to that winter when I finally read it. So I might just pick it up if it's winter, if it's spring. I don't know. I think it's time for me to read it. I have the second book, and we all know that this is not a completed series and everyone is waiting for him to complete it. Is he going to do it? We don't know, but I want to see what it is about. Another book that I started reading and put down is Crescent City. Well, it's actually House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Everyone just calls it Crescent City, but that's like the name of the series. I read about 60 pages of this book and put it down just because the beginning of this was such info dumping and I was bored. I actually thought I was not going to read this book. I thought I was just gonna put it down, but I've heard such amazing things about it, and I love her other series as well, and I know for a fact that she also created her own universe with these series and these characters, and she writes such amazing characters. Like, I just love the way that she writes characters. Do I think that they are all very similar to each other? Yes, I do, but we still love them. It doesn't matter. I'm waiting to hear from her other series, but she hasn't announced anything. So I don't know what's up with that. We'll have to wait. Now, another book that I thought I was not going to read, but now I've changed my mind, is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I thought I was not gonna. I bought this book because I wanted to read it, and then I started hearing mixed reviews, and some people love them, some people hate them, especially the second book. I haven't heard anything good about the second book. But then the third book is amazing. I don't know much about this book, but I know that if you like Sarah J. Maas, you will enjoy these stories. So I want to give it a try. I want to make my own opinions of a book because I am interested in it. So we'll see what happens. I might like it, I might not. I might continue with it, or we'll see what happens. But I do want to read it. I just know that the main character in this book her name is Poppy, and that's all. So we'll see what happens. Robin Hobb is another author that I want to read this year. So I want to start with Assassin's Apprentice. This is the first book, and I believe this series is like 19 books. However, each series has like its own trilogy, and together it makes like the 19 books. I know some series follow other characters, and then the other series connect those characters with the first trilogy and something like that. Again, I don't know much about this story except that our main character in this one is part of the royals, but something happened. Once he gets back to being a royal, he has to do something to become a royal assassin, and I think he talks to animals, or he has the ability to talk to animals. I'm not sure, but I've heard that the writing is amazing. I've heard that the way that she connects the stories and characters is just something that I would enjoy and love. Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about it. And the last book that I want to read is The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Shotsky. I've had this book with me since it came out, and this is a beautiful cover. A lot of people compare this to Six of Crows, and as you guys know, I am not a big fan of Six of Crows. I had a really difficult time reading Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't read the second one, and I'm hoping that the only reason why people compare this book to Six of Crows is because we have like that big group of characters that are like friends. They're going on a heist, they're doing something, they're doing a quest, something's going on, and it just happens to be like 6-7 of them. I hope that's where the comparison ends. That's where I hope the comparison starts, and that's where I hope it ends, because I am really looking forward to this book. I know that this story is somewhat inspired by National Treasure, the movies with Nicolas Cage, and yeah, I think something there in Paris, I believe. I don't know. I love the cover. I want to say that the other covers are not as beautiful as this one. I don't have those yet, but this book is just beautiful. I am looking forward to this one as well. The sun just keeps coming in and out, and I can't do anything about that. I'm so sorry. So those are the series that I want to get to this year. I definitely plan to complete some of these this year. Some of them I can't because not all the books are out yet, but I do want to start with these ones because I already own them. I didn't even talk about the ones that I want to get to, but because I don't own them yet, I'm not going to worry about those yet. I do want to read them one day, but since I don't own them, I don't have to worry about them. So that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys have read any of these. Let me know which ones I should start with, because I will read them all eventually, but I have to start with some of them. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I do vlog everything that I read, and I try to post my reading vlogs on Fridays, so you guys will be seeing some of these books in those reading vlogs. So if you guys would like to hear my thoughts, see if I like them or I don't, see what I think of them, don't forget to subscribe. That is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye. Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Yeah.